I'm Jared Belmond with AllChoice Insurance here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I have an office right here on Main Street, the 300 block, and we're gonna head right up to my office. So we've been in this building for 2 years. We expanded AllChoice to the Hendersonville office in January of 2019, and I took over as managing partner. We have 3 other offices in Clemens, which is near Winston-Salem, in Wilmington, and in Greensboro. So those are our four agencies that we operate out of. So we handle all your Main Street stuff. So we're pretty much everything but health. So we handle your personal lines, your home, auto, umbrella. We also handle all the commercial lines. So focus a lot on small business here in Hendersonville, local businesses. We really like working with them, but we work with large manufacturers, trucking companies also. I've been in the insurance industry for 8 years now. I left the restaurant industry. I was a general manager with them in management for a long time and just felt like it was time for a change, and I had a buddy say that insurance was the way to go. So I worked for a captive agency for 2 years and found the independent agency model and was really intrigued by it, the freedom that it gives, the opportunity, and just the options for clientele. So I transitioned to my own agency in 2019. The insurance industry is changing over the last really just 5 years to really embrace technology instead of it being a pushback. So when you used to hear InsurTech, which is our insurance technology catchphrase, there used to be a lot of animosity and that they're going to take our jobs and is going to eliminate people from what we do best as advisors. And over the last 5 years, you've really seen an embracement and an empowerment. And at our agency, we solely focus on technology as a way to empower our agents to do what they've already been doing even better. The technology has come into our industry from really 2 points. As independent agents, we're able to operate our own business, right? We're our own agency. We don't have a model or we're not like a franchise model where some of the captives are. So as independents, we bring a lot of our own technologies and mesh them together. The industry as a whole has seen InsurTech come in and several years ago come in as disruptors, where they wanted to come in and take a piece of their pie away from us. That's transitioned over the last years where more and more agencies are working with these InsurTechs and alongside them and really working in 3 different areas where there's a triangle of the agency itself, the carriers that we work with, and the InsurTech itself. And instead of working separately, you're starting to see that triangle come together where carriers are working with InsurTech and opening up their back-end API and information to them. And they're also opening stuff to agencies so that we can choose what technology we want to use with that carrier to optimize everybody's success equally. So the point of whether the industry is moving this way or my agency specifically is moving towards using more technology, I would say my agency is steps ahead of the industry as a whole. I think that a large majority of our industry is hesitant and holding on to the old guard and the old ways of doing things that have always worked. I talk to a lot of my peers and say, you work for an agency owner and you want to tell them what technology will work. Well, they're making multi-6-figure salaries off the old way of doing it. So there has to be a slow transition and an understanding that this technology can empower and not replace. But I could say that the industry as a whole has been slow to embrace and continues to be slow. But our agency is full steam ahead. We look for the problem, and then we look for a piece of technology that can help that. Or we search out that technology and find that maybe we are doing it better and that tech piece won't work. And that really comes back to what information we have that leads to that decision. When it comes to leadership and decision making within our agency, we rely heavily on technology, but we also rely heavily on Excel spreadsheets because the data and the information is the most important piece to that. And we do that by looking at the problem first. So as a leader, we want to know what we're solving. We just don't want to solve something. So we don't want to have shiny object syndrome where we're just chasing the next technology that came out that could solve a problem that we may not have. So that data management it really doesn't matter where it comes from, right? You can have a Excel spreadsheet that you fill in manually. You can have a piece of paper that you're scribbling down the data as it comes, or you could have a robust, client management system that's all digital and pumping out reports for you. That isn't as important as much as that data coming out as a leader looking at that and analyzing that so that when you make a decision, you know that you can be confident that moving forward, it's based off reality and truths and not off that gut. And gut's important. I think as entrepreneurs and business leaders, having a gut is important. The data allows you to either verify that gut and say, okay, I thought it was going to be this way, and my gut said it was this way, and now the data says it this way, and so we're able to quickly move forward and be confident in that move forward. I've also seen data do the opposite. I've seen it say, oh, our guts feel this, and the data shows us the opposite, or a little different, and that's a good gut check that, okay, maybe my gut was wrong in this, and we should trust the data. And the data doesn't lie, it's there, and you don't always have to follow it to a T, but that feedback and that information is just a powerful tool for any leader to make the next decision on how to move forward towards the next step. So one example of taking a look at the data is our sales process. Over the last 18-20 months, we've delved deeply into our step-by-step sales process. And when I came onto AllChoice, we pretty much had a 4, really, the win-loss was that 5th step. And we're really in what I would say a 7-step, and then 7, each one maybe has an A-B, so multi-leveled sales pipeline that we have. And that came from the feedback as we went step by step through that process. We analyzed the emails that we were sending out. So in the follow-up stage, we would send a proposal out and we'd want them to respond to us. Well, the number one way to do that is to keep reaching out to them. And so we would use our guts and say, this is what we've been doing, let's send out things that say this, or emails that say this. And the responses we would get were tracked, and we would see how quickly they responded, what they responded with, and then obviously the lost win off that number and percentages there. That allowed us to tighten up what we were saying and how we were saying it to get quicker responses back from people. Sometimes we would say things that people didn't take in the way we meant it to be said. So we tracked those responses, and if people didn't understand what we were saying, we knew we needed to clarify our message. And we did that through the whole sales process. We also use it in phone calls, where if people are calling us, we track every call. So if you're calling us for billing, we know that it's billing. If you're calling us for a service question, claim, sales, we know what that is, and it's tracked in detail, so that we can go back and look at a client and see how profitable that client is to us. Because the more time we spend on a billing question that could be answered in a sheet or an app, it allows us to make decisions on where our next process is. And you can delve into, say it's billing, then and that's where a lot of our phone calls are coming from. Well, maybe we need to eliminate some of those in a different process. One important place that we use a lot of tracking and data management is in our email marketing and social media marketing also. But in email marketing, there's been one case where we send out an email pretty regularly about, and it's standardized. We call it our onboarding system. That over the first year, you get a set number of emails over the year. And we used our gut to say we think they could use this information during these times of the year, during 60 days out, 90 days out, 120 days out of them signing up with us. And we tracked that over the last 18 months, and it's been fairly successful. Then we sent out an email when a catastrophe happened, and the email had a video that spoke specifically to that catastrophic event. And our response went through the roof. And tracking that data and having those numbers show us what it was consistently and then what it was in this one-off allowed us to, analyze that the pertinent information was more important than us telling you what we think you need to know. Having an opportunity to respond to a situation is going to offer more value. And we had data on that, and it was substantial difference between the two different email campaigns. We get a lot of the knowledge and information on how to track this from really other people within our industry. I truly stand by, and our agency truly stands by, that our industry is better together, that we can learn from each other, and we're going to try things and fail, and other people are going to try things and fail, but if we can come together and learn from each other, then we can all be better together. So we have online forums, we have Facebook groups that are really big in our industry right now, where you can go to the Facebook group, ask a question. It's private groups, so your clients aren't going to get in there and see what questions you're asking. And we can build that camaraderie together and answer some of the bigger industry questions together as a group. We also have local, so there's the Independent Insurance Agencies of North Carolina is an organization here in North Carolina that offers classes, and as a young agent there's opportunities for me to go see speakers and sit in classrooms and learn more about some of these opportunities, some of these technologies that are out there that we may not have access to. I've sat in on classes on bots answering questions on websites and Facebook, and how that analytics are tracked and how the questions are tracked and what's asked and what's not. And those kind of things have allowed me to grow at a faster rate by engaging the people that have experience with it already. And whether it be a failure or a success, I can see where we can move forward and how it can impact my own agency. So taking a look at the future of the industry, having educated individuals and leaders coming into an agency, especially an independent agency and a sales force as we have, that has knowledge on data analytics and analyzing that data and knowing how to apply it in business, is a asset that is immeasurable at this point in our industry. It is something that I know will lead to success, but I don't think we can quantify what kind of success that could be. The value that we see in just actively pursuing that, because we didn't start with that, is immense. So having someone come in to our office that would have that information already and have that experience in analyzing data and making decisions based off that is extremely valuable. A win, what we look at as success in our agency, is an educated, well-advised client that can make a decision to protect their assets or their family in the way they want. We need to be profitable. We need to make money. I need to take care of my family. But as an agency, we truly use that data to figure out how to give the best value to our client. And that looks like education and experience and allowing them to know the product that they're actually buying. The long-term win for us would be a complete overhaul of how the insurance industry looks at advising their clients. How it's done now cannot be how it's going to be done in 5 years, in 2 years. There has to be a change where we respect the customer experience, and it's just not a reactionary customer service. It's an actual experience that we create in our industry, that we decommodify the product we're selling. We're not a quicker, faster, cheaper product, but we actually have something that people see value in, and not just a product they have to buy because the government told them to, but actually a product that they can protect their assets and their families by knowing that this product saves those things and protects those things in the long run. And I think that we as an industry have gotten away from that, and part of it is due to the globalization of industry, that we're a step behind. And using data and analytics is a way for us to regain that and retake control of that information so that we can actually be a value add to these clients. Offering my time and my knowledge is probably one of the most important things to the future of the industry. I feel like I'm the middle child. I come from CD players and tape decks, and I live in a world of complete digital and clouds. And so being that middle child, I feel a responsibility to set an example for those coming after me, but also respect those that came before me, and mesh those together and show that it's not either or. It's not all technology and all data and all driven. There's an old school sales process, an old school entrepreneur spirit that needs to be combined with that new school. And so offering my time and my expertise that I have is my way of hopefully showing that the industries that are lagging behind and embracing this, that there's no need to be fearful of that, and also show the people that aren't fearful of technology and are leaning on it to understand that they need to be patient and but persevere to continue to influence those that came before them to use this technology.